What up, gang? Episode number 3, SEANCAST. I'm Sean France. Welcome to it. I've been excited to do this one. I've been really excited to do this one. I just got, I don't know. I've had stuff on my mind, man. I've had stuff on my mind. I was traveling over the weekend. Went and hung out with my family, which is nice. It was great to see them. But, you know, those long drives, you just get to sit there and think. And that's what I was doing. I was thinking. Good stuff, you know, for the most part. I think, I don't know, being as involved as I've been in my industry for, I guess since 2019, really. So not a whole long time, but you know, definitely a good few years in at this point, and as actively involved as I've been, it's hard for it not to have some form of consumption of your thought. It's interesting once I look around and observe the different types of people, and I guess that this is kind of applied across the board with whatever industry you're in, right? There are some people, man, I don't know. I don't want to come off judgy because that's not what this is. It's an observation. There are some people that, man, they take life so serious. And I get it. You should to an extent. You know, you should take what you do seriously. You should take who you are seriously. And you should want to do something with yourself. And that takes being serious to an extent when the time is right. But man, it's funny in bodybuilding especially. I had a brief conversation with my coach the other day talking about kind of this subject of being man, it's just, I don't think it's quite as cool as some people try to make it out to be. And the way he put it was it's as cool as you make it. And that's very true. It's just as cool as you make it. And there's some people I think that thinks it's way cooler than it is, you know. And it's a little funny. It's a little sad. Because, I don't know, I started realizing it's man, the moment that you quit having fun with whatever you're doing, all of the joys of life get sucked out of your day-to-day really quickly. So I think it's that age-old adage of if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life. I don't know if I fully buy into that because work is work. You know, across the board, it's work, and it's not always you're riding high, super happy, and it's everything's super fun all the time. But it doesn't mean that you can't try to make stuff fun. And I've got a good buddy also that he works super hard. It constantly works super hard. And I remember having a conversation. We lived together for a little while, and we had a conversation where he said, I know he's watching. Connor, what up, Connor? He said that he's everything's a little game. He just playing games with himself all day, right? Everything's those little challenges and stuff. He turns everything into a little game, and it makes it more fun. And that's kind of a principle that I've kind of adapted because it makes things a lot more enjoyable if you can just kind of play a little game with yourself to do the hard stuff. And yeah, I do take what I do seriously, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to have fun doing it. And I'm also not going to take it so serious that you just become where what you do becomes your personality, you know, who you are and what you do are two different things. At least they should be. Now, with a high level of focus towards what you do, of course, it's going to have some bleeding over into who you are because, you know, it's how you live your day-to-day life. But I don't know, man. It's just funny looking around with all the a lot of bodybuilders, a lot of coaches that are all just so excited to be involved in the industry, and they think that bodybuilding is the coolest thing in the world. It's not. It's not. It's I mean, dude, you lift weights and you eat food. And yeah, like you look pretty cool because of it. That's great. But it's just not all that cool. You're not an NBA, you know? That's cool. You're being an NBA is naturally a cool thing. But, I mean, bodybuilding, especially if you're doing it and making money, like, yeah, it's probably a lot cooler than, I don't know, most jobs inherently, but I don't know. It just becomes all super lame to me whenever everyone's just so, oh, yes, dude, this is me. This is who I am. Like, yeah, I guess. I mean, like, when do you turn it off, you know? Leave it at the door sometimes. It just cracks me up, and especially in, like, training, I guess, too, right? Like, it's really cool to be strong and move weight and all that stuff, but the minute that you, like, become that guy, you know what I mean. When you're that guy, it ceases, it becomes very uncool whenever you're, I don't know, you're just acting like a dork, man. Acting like a dork. There's some people that are like super energetic whenever they train, and they get excited, and like that's fun. That's fun. And yeah, they might be a little bit loud. It's fun to be around though, because it's like good energy, right? But there's some people that have this like, you know what I mean, that persona, that I'm better than you type of persona because they bodybuild. Like it just, I don't know. I don't think it's any way to carry yourself. And it's funny. It's just something that since I started in it, and I've been around it for a while now, it's super hard to ignore because it's pretty in your face, and it's a pretty large chunk of the population that are involved in bodybuilding that act this way. And I'm sure in other ventures it's very much that way too, right? Like you could be doing anything, man. You could be a mechanic, and there's one dude that just can never shut up about his tools, and all he wants to do is talk about car parts and how much he knows about cars. And when he's in the shop, he acts like he's the, God's gift to cars and to human beings. I'm sure that exists. Maybe on a lesser level, because I feel like bodybuilding is pretty vain already, and like it just drives that vanity even deeper. And for me, I don't really care. You can do whatever you want with your life. You can act however you want. I'll definitely just sit back and make observations about it though, because hey man, I ain't gonna lie, it's pretty funny to watch. It's pretty funny to watch sometimes. Everyone just taking themselves so seriously. It's interesting. It's just not me. No matter what I've done, I always have a lot of passion and love what I'm doing and pursue it to the fullest. But, if you know me personally, if you're my friend and like we talk, you know probably how little I actually talk about bodybuilding unless I'm asked outside of the gym or outside of like working with other bodybuilders, coaches, whatever, right? Yeah, I don't really talk about it all that much because I feel like no one cares. And maybe it's not true. Maybe they do care, but I don't know. I don't feel like they do. Because I sit across from somebody and it's like I would rather have a conversation where we can relate on something than me just tell you what I do. Seems boring. Seems like dead-end conversation. Observing humans in general is something that's always a curious venture for me because, man, there's some characters out there. There are some characters. And working in like the service industry too for a long time. Wow. I have had some of the strangest encounters, weirdest experiences, because you just deal with the public, man. You're dealing with the public. And it is crazy. Of course, I've met really cool people. In every venture that I'm involved in, I've met really cool people. But you meet some absolute wild people too. You know, here's an interesting fact about me. I sold cars for like, man, 2 months. As you can imagine, if you can get a feel for who I am at all, at least in these last 2 episodes and right now, you can imagine that that really wasn't my thing. That job was birthed out of a little bit of desperation at the time. And I know you can make good money, but I also had this idea of like, yeah, I can do right by people, right? Make good money. That's not how the industry works. That's a dirty industry, just as you would imagine. It doesn't have to be, but it is. And I remember there was one of my first customers, and it was like pretty late at night. Like, it's one of those deals where you get in at 7 a.m. and you get off when you get off. If you've got a deal working by the time you're supposed to be leaving, which I'm pretty sure was like 7 to 7 for the shifts. Yeah, it was 7 to 7. And, you know, if you had a deal cooking they usually lasted a full deal of selling a car. It would last a couple hours, you know. And this lady walked in maybe 6:30, 6:45. And boy, she was tweaking. She was off them amphetamines. She was off that glass. She had that Walter White in her system. And, man, I was sitting in front of her, and I was like, there's no way this is happening, that this is a real person. And she was just telling me about why she was coming to get a car. It was mainly because she totaled her last, like, 2 or 3 cars. And I'm like, I'm shocked. So I'm sitting there, and this is early into me working there, so I'm kind of trying to earn my stripes a little bit. And, you know, she wants to look at a car. You're supposed to let them test drive it, right? And you go on this test drive with them. And I remember I go to my manager. I was like, hey, man, I ain't trying to get in the car with her. She is tweaking. I mean, I'm talking, she's pulling on her shirt, freaking out. You know, her eyes are darting around. Like, she high as hell, boy. I'm not trying to get in the car with her. And my manager's like, oh, you're not? You know? Okay. So I guess I'm riding with a meth addict. And I did. And it was horrifying. It was as scary as you might would imagine, riding with someone who was extremely inebriated off of hard drugs. It was so scary. It was so scary. I mean, she was so fidgety that she almost like, it seemed like she was almost forgetting how to drive. She forgot which foot was. She thought she had 3 feet, is what it seemed like. She was touching stuff and the windows. I'm like, why are you touching the window? She was freaking out, man. And I was freaking out because I was sitting in the passenger seat. We were both fine, but it was a horrifying drive. And that was another job where I'm dealing with the public, man. I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is not what I would expect the normal interaction to be like, because it wasn't. She was high. She was very high. And yeah, man, it's just like these people. We gotta do something. There's so many of them too. There's so many people. It's crazy. So many. I was like driving home. There's so much traffic. I think I saw a meme one time. It said something about like, you ever sit in traffic and look around and realize that those are all human beings with hopes and dreams, and they're not just like road NPCs? I was sitting there yesterday. I was like, ain't no way these people are real. Like, just from what the eyeball could see, I was like, there's that many people? And yeah, there is. Times a few million, billion, whatever, man. There's literally that many people. And that blows my mind. There shouldn't be. I don't think. But there's so many people, and there's so few of them that are just like normal, like cool, like, there's so few. It's such a small amount of the population. You know, whenever I was younger, I was extremely social. High school and college, I was like very involved socially, you know. I mean, it's high school. You know, I'm a kid. I didn't really have anything better to do. Well, I did have things better to do. I just didn't know then that I should have been doing them. And, you know, so I was very involved socially. And, you know, I look back, I'm like, who is that? Referring to myself, right? Like, who? I liked being around all those people? What? Crazy. Because I don't anymore. I like being around certain people. I've got like I've got a group of people that I really like that are like cool, normal, chill, like good people. You know who you are. You know? Those are, and I like people in general, man. I like good interactions with other human beings. Like, it does mean something to me. It is, especially if I can help people in some way. And I love that I can do that through the gym, especially. I had an interaction yesterday with a couple of younger dudes that felt comfortable enough to ask me for some advice, training. And I'm super happy that I can be that guy. It's just like I don't know. I've just become less social. You know, I want to do stuff like this. I've really enjoyed doing this so far. I'm really excited to continue doing this. I want to do stuff like this. I want to work. I want to hang out with my lady. I want to hang out with my friends, my close friends, spend time with my family. And I guess as I'm getting a little bit older, I start realizing what's really important, you know? What's really, really important, because life is so short, man. Life is so short, and I want to spend that time with good, quality human beings, and there's so few. There's so few. I was at my best friend's graduation. Big shout out to my boy Gannon graduating college, man. Well, you know, when we moved up here together, he had been grinding through it, and he'd been grinding through it for a while. Graduated, and he's got some cool stuff on the horizon for him. So, super excited for him. We went and, you know, one of my old buddies showed up. I hadn't seen him in years, and we were really, really close in high school, and he's one of those guys I still keep up with, like at post high school, which is, you know, not a lot. Very few people. Very few people, but he's one of those guys, and he said something about, he's like, man, yeah, you know, I can't, he's like, people still like, you know, they're going out to the bars and doing this and that. He's like, I can't be around all them folks, man. I'm like, I feel you. Me neither, dude. And a part of my, you know, a part of my life right now, it kind of forces me to be around a lot of people at once, and yeah, it ain't for me anymore. You know, I'm looking forward to this kind of shift that I have coming up in my life. I know I mentioned moving, and that's going to be happening sooner than later, and I'll get to kind of pick and choose selectively, you know, who I'm around, and I don't have these forced interactions that'll happen anymore. I won't have to deal with the public in a professional way, if you will. Just my, you know, it'll just be the people that I want to invest in and spend time with. And like I said, it probably sounds selfish me saying that, but, you know, if you get it, you get it. If you get it, you get it. It's just funny, man. Life is a funny thing. Once I started getting older and started moving towards these goals, like, there's things I want to get done. There's things I want to be great at. I want to be great in bodybuilding. I want to be a great coach. I want to be a great partner, a great son, brother, friend. And that stuff matters to me more than anything now. So anything that kind of like drives a wedge in between any of that, I don't really want it in my life. I don't really care for it. It's just not worth it by any means. Like I said, I went and saw my family, and I had a lot of fun. It was really nice seeing them. I did a little late Mother's Day trip because I wanted to see my mom for Mother's Day. I couldn't quite make it. So I had this little blip of time where I got to go see her. So I got to go see my sister too, my brother-in-law, my dad. It was really cool seeing all of them. really grateful for that little bit of time. But man, that drive, it gave me just time to think, I was thinking. Which is genuinely a good thing for me. I can be a bit of an overthinker. I'm a lot better about it now than I used to be. So I was thinking a lot though, and just these like things were popping in my head, and I guess I didn't even at the time connect the dots of being like, yeah, I want to talk about this on the podcast. But as I was setting up today and kind of this morning thinking about what I was going to talk about, I was like, oh, well, everything that I was thinking about is perfect, because this is like the way that I see the world is so interesting now compared to how I used to see it. I've always probably had a little bit of a pessimistic worldview about human beings and the way that we tarnish the earth and each other. And there's just this very small group of people that don't really do that, and they want to contribute something good and give back and care about having a legacy and leaving a mark in some way. And those people are really cool. Those are my people, And I feel like I have this dreamy thought process that we can change the world, right? Me and these people, we can say the right things, put the right information out there, hopefully through content like this, reach people and, I don't know, help people in some way see the world differently. Maybe help people get out of some stuck places, because I felt stuck before, and it sucks. It sucks really bad. But it doesn't mean that you have to fall victim to it. You can always pick yourself up. I had a really, really hard time recently where I was struggling big time mentally, man. I was struggling big time, more so than I had in a while. And it's something that I dealt with, especially growing up whenever I was younger, like my mid-teens type of years, just going through different things. And, it drives you to a dark place sometimes. And I still deal with it to an extent. I don't feel like a lot of people maybe know that, because I try not to express it or let it bleed over into my life in any sort of way. And I don't want to feed that energy to anybody else. But I have a great girlfriend, and someone who, she is a person that I have been extremely comfortable being vulnerable with, to an extent that I really haven't had that level of comfort with a person before. And it's not something that she did right or I've done right to make me feel that way. It just is, right? It's just how it is. When you find a person like that, whether it is a significant other, a family member, a friend, stick by that person and be comfortable being vulnerable with that person and expressing some things that are hard to deal with, because it's super healthy, man. It is super healthy and helpful. So I was able to kind of get some stuff off my chest and, be down, just struggle and talk about it and work through those things. And out of the backside of it, I guess tying it all back to the first thing I was talking about, I started realizing, I'm making everything too serious, man. Let's get back to having fun. Let's actually go back to enjoying my life, because there's nothing not to enjoy. I have a beautiful life, and I'm super, super blessed and super grateful for it. And I'll continue to have a beautiful and build a beautiful life. It's not worth letting yourself get in your way. That's what most people's downfall is. I feel like there's always going to be stuff that knocks you down in life that you didn't necessarily put in play. It's just how it works. Sometimes you're going to get knocked down. And the thing that I was telling her whenever I was going through this time is that I realized that I am that person, man. I'm that person that it is my story 100% will be, it's how many times I got up, right? It's so cliche to be like, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up. But it's so true. It's cliche for a reason. It's said so many times for a reason, because it's true. Fall flat on your ass sometimes, or you get knocked flat on your ass sometimes. Pop up, hot stove, right? As soon as you hit the ground, back up. Don't lay there. You know, it's just, you're letting life win. And you got to be the one to win. Hand out the L's. Don't take them. Don't take them. You know, take the W's. Fucking bug. Take the W's. Hand out the L's. Oh, Jake, if you're watching this, thank you again for the book. I haven't cracked into it yet, but I will on this trip. I've got a long drive tomorrow, so I've never, you know, some people are huge Jordan Peterson guys. I haven't dove into his stuff much. I've heard some of his stuff. I have not like really sunk deep into it. So this is the book that if you watch the last episode, my buddy Jake got me this book, 12 Rules for Life. An Antidote to Chaos. He wrote me the cutest little note, too. What a sweet guy. Classic sweet guy move. I don't know why. I just felt like I should, you know, in the preface of the book here is, or the table of contents rather, there is that's what the rules are. And I thought these were cool. I haven't read any of this yet. Like I said, I'll be diving into it this week. But rule 1, stand up straight with your shoulders back. Great place to start. 2, treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. That's a really cool thought. Make friends with people who want the best for you. Rule number 3. That is, wow, important. Very important. You know, this like you are who you hang around with type of ideology. Man, it's just true. And if you're around people that want the best for you, you'll continue to work towards the best. There's some people that are anchors, man. Watch out for the ones that weigh you down. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today. Rule number 4. That is so ridden through today's society. It's so hard to get rid of because of social media, because of all these things that get pushed in your face, these media outlets, whatever it might be. You know, being within yourself and like spending some time quietly, that is a hard thing to do in modern society. Rule number 5. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. To be honest, I have no idea what that means. Mainly because I don't have kids, and you know, I don't hate or love them because they don't exist. So rule number 6: set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. That is the one that I struggle with the most. A lot of the times, similar to what I was doing to start this episode, is I look around and I have all these observations and all these things that I find that I don't like about people or other things around me, and then I start nitpicking, and it makes me realize that I'm like, there's probably stuff that I should be working on myself. You know, well, I'm not a perfect person. Why am I going around and talking about why other people aren't perfect, right? Rule number 7: pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. That is it's a hard thing to categorize sometimes. What is meaningful? You know, what really matters? Because like the first thing that comes to my head is money. You know, I always want, I think everyone wants monetary success to an extent. Some people care about it more than others. I certainly feel like that I'm in the category of person who can get greedy. And the truth is that money only matters so much. It matters for some reasons. You gotta live, right? Was it really meaningful? Rule number 8: tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Honesty, integrity go a really, really long way for me. Integrity, that is such an important concept to me in a human being, and I feel like you can tell the people who have integrity and the ones that don't, the ones that live the way they speak, the way that they say that they are, and they're that way behind closed doors. In front of you, they're the same way through and through. Integrity is incredibly important. Rule number 9: assume that assume that the person you're listening to might know something that you don't. another one that I struggle with, because I do feel like I'm a good judge of character, and also that I can kind of, it's so arrogant to think that you know how smart someone is. And even if they're not like the biggest brainiac in the world, who's to say that they can't teach you something, that they know something that you don't? The moment that you think that you know everything is the moment you become the dumb one. You put yourself so far behind whenever that happens. So, soaking in knowledge from everyone is so important. Rule 10, be precise in your speech. It's a tough one. I also struggle with that. I can be kind of brash sometimes, maybe, especially in situations that I don't want to be in. If I'm in a situation that I don't want to be in, I can fly off of the mouth a little bit. I get a little bit. I'm just really quick to say what's on my mind. Sometimes I need to bite my tongue. Rule 11, do not bother children when they're skateboarding. I love that one. I don't think it's necessarily applied to maybe my age group as much, and maybe it's to an extent, but you know the deal. But don't be a Karen. Everyone's seen the videos. Who cares, man? Let people have fun. Do whatever it is they're doing and they enjoy doing, as long as it's not harming other people. Leave them alone, man. Leave them alone. Rule number 12: pet a cat when you encounter it on the street. I'm sure that he'll expand on that quite a bit more. That being said, I live that rule. I can firmly say that I live that rule thoroughly. I love animals. I love dogs. I love cats. As you see from episode 1, if you go back to episode 1 and scroll all the way to the end, kitten surprise. Hey, man, Geppetto, you're a queen. I absolutely love animals. So rule 12, easy. Bag. I'm in my bag with rule 12. Man, it's a good coffee. I got, usually I'm a black iced Americano guy. Usually I'm or just a black iced coffee, black coffee. I like black coffee. My lady got a, come on. All right, flame me if you want to, man. I'm ready. Hey, this is delicious. She got an oat milk shaken espresso with vanilla. I cut the vanilla syrup in half because I don't really like super sweet, and hey, man, it's just right. It's delicious. Yeah. So I love it. It's great coffee. Yeah, man, it's been an interesting go at it for this last week or so for me. Like I said, I've been struggling a little bit. There's some ups and downs, man, but hey, that's life. Here is something that's super exciting. It is the first peak week of the year. So excited. Tilly King, one of my oldest clients, not literally oldest, one of my first clients. I actually talked about her a little bit on that first podcast. Incredible athlete, super dedicated. She has gone through it, man. I pushed her really hard this time, and that's what it takes. It's just what it takes to be a high-quality bodybuilder and come in as lean as you should. We started around the 140 range. She's about 115 this morning. She looks incredible. We actually haven't really de-stressed yet. And when that de-stressing process happens, pardon me, that's where the lines really get to shine. I'm so excited. So, me and my girl, we're taking off for Orlando tomorrow. She's coming with me, which will be really nice. I'm going to be filming a good bit. So, I'm not going to start promising that I'm going to put out a bunch of like prep series videos, vlogs, this and that, but I'm going to do one. I'll see how you like it. If that's something that y'all want to see me pursue in the future. After post my move, that's something that I will dive into and I'll commit to. But I'm going to do like kind of a vlog type video of me running her through this peak week. She looks incredible. I'm super excited. We're doing the Clash series down there in Orlando, and I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. First show of the year. Pro qualifier 2 weeks after. So, yeah, man, super exciting, and I cannot wait for it. Got her plan all laid out. She's constantly sending me updates right now, and we're keeping everything super detailed through this process. I think I've learned so much as a coach, and I'm grateful for my coach and his mentoring and some of the help that he's given me. He's been a good second set of eyes and has given me some great advices, and they've been effective. They've been really effective. So if you're watching, thank you. And it's been a lot of fun. I think this is the best prep that, at least maybe the best athlete that I've brought in the way they look. I've had a couple that have hit really hard too, but it's our second peak together too, so I think we know what works and know what doesn't. And last time she just wasn't quite lean enough, but she didn't have enough muscle to really support to be all that lean too, so it's a weird balance with that first one. This time around, she's got some serious muscle on her. I'm really excited for it, so it's going to be so fun. It's going to be so fun. Let's do... What are your goals as a bodybuilding coach? I've got big goals. I've got really big goals as a coach. I am super focused on quality over quantity, number one. The athletes that I do have, making sure that they have my full attention. I don't have the biggest roster in the world by any means. I'm just shy of 20 clients right now, which is great. And I'm grateful for everyone that has chosen me to help them through their journey. But as far as being a coach goes, and I think as one of my athletes, that the level of investment that I put into you as far as your career goes and for you as a person. Everyone's going to get so tired of me bringing up Alabama football, but there's this correlation, I feel like, with like my coaching approach and like Nick Saban's coaching approach in football. And one is that it's about winning, man. It's about winning. It's about doing what it takes to win, because that doesn't just correlate. It does correlate from bodybuilding to life. Both of those have overlap, right? Winning goes a lot further than just winning a show, being talented, coming in condition, winning a show. It's how you live your life. The things that you do, what type of person you are, how dedicated you are, how mature you are, your level of integrity, your level of mental strength, your level of dedication. All of those things, your level, your mental focus in general. What is your mind focused on? What practices do you have in play to take care of your spirit, your mind, and then your body? Because your spirit and your mind is what's going to lead your body. And in bodybuilding, that's how it goes too. Like, it's not just somebody on their weight loss journey. You got to have a positive headspace, right? In bodybuilding, it's bigger than that. It's, there's a lot of dedication and focus that goes into getting stage lean, that goes into pushing into uncomfortable places in an off season, that goes into forcing some downtime, that goes into working super hard in these long gym sessions. Winning in general is what it's about. Winning shows, winning life. What are your goals? What are your and how do you knock those off? I always want to be realistic with my people too. I'm never going to feed BS to anybody. Oh, I think you can do this. I think you can do this. I'm going to tell you what I think you can do, and we'll find out. I'm going to help you be your best. Your 100% best. We're going to do that. And if that falls short, we're going to figure out what went wrong and fix it, and then do it again until we get it right. As far as like tangible goals, I want to turn my amateur clients now that want to go pro. I want to take my pro clients and take them to the Olympia. Just get there. Those are the goals. So those are kind of the short term goals, right? Turn my amateurs pros to Olympia. From there, once the amateur folks go pro, it's the same thing on repeat. Take them to Olympia. Once we get to Olympia, improve the placing. It's just about getting better constantly. It's playing the long game for me too. Bodybuilding is not like a short-term thing. There's no true in-season or off-season. It's kind of a 365 lifestyle that you got to live. So what's the long game? In the long term for me, I want to have Olympia wins under my belt as a coach. 100%. I want Olympia champions under my belt as a coach. I want a lot of pro cards, a lot of pro wins. Those are my long-term goals. However long it takes, could be shorter term, could be longer term. Either way, I'm good with it. But I'm in it for the long haul. I'll continue to improve. And just as far as my personal stuff goes, is to never stop learning. I want to continue to learn, and every piece of information that I pass on, I want to make sure that it's going to help that person in their career, help them win. Whether it is a comfortable conversation or not, whether it might sound harsh, whatever it might be, I want to make sure it helps them win. That's all I care about. And the people that I attract are very much those type of people who want to win more than anything. So that's pretty much it. Keep getting better, keep learning till I'm the best. There's a lot of great coaches and a lot of good information out there, but in my mind, I'm in the best place I can be as a coach to become great, to become truly great. I've mentioned my coach before. If I haven't said my coach is Cameron Cheek. If you're not familiar with Cameron Cheek, you're probably familiar with, and you should be at this point if you're involved in bodybuilding. If you're not familiar with Cameron is and recently became a part of Camp Jansen, Matt Jansen's camp, which is a very small group of coaches that are all extremely good at what they do. And I talked to Cam recently, and he was talking about, he's like, hey man, some of the information I'm giving is information I get from Matt. It just kind of passes down the ladder a bit, right? So some of the information that I get and I receive, it's about as good as it gets. I have some good friends that are pros too that have helped me along my journey with some stuff that I had trouble wrapping my head around, or different concepts that can be applied that maybe I didn't know about. And I feel like I'm in a very good place. Information-wise, to execute really high-level preps, very high-level preps. And I think that there's a couple of things as a coach that does make me special, that makes me worth choosing over others. Intangibles, if you will, the eye, and also the ability to get people through hard times. So, yeah, those are my goals, big goals. Olympia champions, pro wins. Those are the goals for sure. Amateurs to pros, and then Olympia qualifications. Those are kind of the short-term stuff. So yeah, I've got huge goals, man. I'm super excited to be at this point in my life and this point in my career. And as a young person too, is what makes me really excited too. I see longevity in this game for me. I don't think I'll ever stop coaching. I think I'll always coach. And if I'm at the point where I'm really pulling back heavy, I'll always have a few clients and people that I would like to take to higher levels, and probably higher level clients down the road, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'll have a huge roster then. It's hard to predict, but I'll never stop coaching, and I'll never outgrow my quality. I'll always make sure it's quality over quantity, always. If it ever becomes too much, I'll be quick to ship off a couple of folks to coaches that I think could do them better than I could, and improve on who I do have. So, yeah, I love to coach, and I'll continue to do it. Let's do top 3 book recommendations. Man, I don't quite know where to start. I'll throw some out there from different genres. And number one, I'll start with a classic, 1984, George Orwell. It's just That's the book for me. I don't know why I loved it so much. The first time I read it, I think I was maybe 14. I think I've read it 5 or 6 times at this point. I just have a very distinct visual on the words that were presented. Whenever he wrote these words, it spoke a picture into my mind like I had never. And I think it's maybe just that because that first time I read it, it was so impactful for me in his style of writing. And he was writing about something that has like some substance, right? It's not just a story. It's got some like really deep political ideologies and some themes that are applicable to the modern world and the way that he kind of saw the world going, which was really cool. There's so many interesting and scary little things about that book that I really enjoyed. And yeah, that's probably my first recommendation. Classic novel, and if you haven't read it, some people it's like school material for some people. But if you haven't read it, I'd highly suggest it. I love that book. Two, my most recent interest, I've read not a lot of horror, but a good bit of horror. I really enjoy for just the fun style reading stuff that maybe doesn't have as much substance is horror. I love the horror genre. So I've read some Stephen King, and that's kind of where I started with horror. But recently, I read a book by a guy named C.S. Fritz. And it was his first ever novel, horror novel, very short, easy to get through, easy to read. I probably read it in a couple of days. It was so good. It's called A Fig for All Your Devils. Please read it, even if you don't like horror, because there are some like gruesome bits to it, but I've read much worse. And there is a tone shift in the middle of that book that goes very much from horror to like dark comedy all of a sudden. And this guy the writer was a illustrator and a kids author beforehand. And he very much had this, to his illustrations and stuff, Tim Burton-esque style almost of like, not in like aesthetically, but like in the way of it being blending like these kind of like children's style with, or like how do I put it? It's like kids stuff with really spooky kind of stuff, and they kind of come together to create like this odd atmospheric feel for the illustrations and for the reading. So it's a cool blend of both, to where there's like a weird level of innocence to like all of the gruesome stuff that happens. I don't know. It was a really cool book. A Fig for All Your Devils. Highly suggest it. Super easy read. Even if you're not a reader, I would definitely suggest getting into that book because it's so fun. The ending was like pretty satisfying too. Everything was, it was a pretty tight knit novel and written really well. So highly suggest it. I want to tell you what happens in the book right now so bad. I want to spoil it, but I'm not going to. 3, I'll dig into probably the most useful. I say useful. The most. Oh man, this is hard. Let me put. I'm gonna do a tie for 3 different books in my third. Okay. Because they are all very useful levels of information. 2 of them are kind of tied together. Bushido and the Book of Five Rings. I read these when I was really young. I've also read them multiple times. They're also like 100 pages long. They're super short. And they are so good. They're so good. It's just like based off of how the samurai were essentially supposed to live their life. The code that they lived by, their ethical code, what they were supposed to do in battle, how they trained, their religious practice, their family practices, their political practices. So good. Book of Five Rings and Bushido. 2 separate books, both incredible. Tied in third with the 2 other books is Theory of Relativity, Albert Einstein. It's, talk about nerdy, man. I could go on and on. It's so good. It's so hard to wrap your head around some of the concepts, some of the math especially. It's really tough to to get your mind all the way around it, if your mind works like mine does, or it ceases to work like mine does. But dude, it's so good. It's so cool. I just love space and all concepts that kind of are pertain to space, which you'll see actually reflected in one of these questions later. But wow, it's so cool, dude. It's so cool. It's one of those that will blow your mind at every turn. A classic one, man. Favorite post-workout meal. It would easily be sushi. Just because I love sushi. I would eat sushi for breakfast. I love it. So yeah, post-workout meal would definitely be sushi. Now, the times I have a post-workout meal for sushi is pretty much zero. That's what I would choose, but it's not what I eat. My favorite actual post-workout meal for functionality purpose. Recently, it's been a classic. It's been rice and shake. It's just what's on my plan. But sometimes I'll sub it, and it used to be this on my plan, with a cream of rice meal. I'll do cream of rice, honey, berries. Sorry, I have honey and berries in my post-workout meal too, but I don't eat that with my rice. Eat it separately. But cream of rice, honey, berries. Usually I do like mixed berries. Sometimes just blueberries, but usually I do a big bag of frozen mixed berries. Put that in my cream of rice. It kind of melts, and it's really tasty. And it's like a big bowl of gains, man. My protein's in there, my honey's in there, my cream of rice in there, my berries are in there, and just nom nom nom. I got really tired of it for a little while because it's so much cream of rice. It's so much, but it's a super effective post-workout meal. Nutrient uptake is fast, super quick digesting, and it makes me feel great. So, cream of rice, honey, berries. You're getting 3 different types of carbohydrate there, which has been proven to really increase nutrient uptake. There's a Honey Rambods who I learned this from. He does a lot of like mixed carb meals, sweet potato with red potato. So like if you're hitting different carbs on the glycemic index within one meal, you get a really high level of nutrient uptake because they digest at different times, and the blood sugars is affected. The blood sugar timing is affected differently by both. So its way of actually uptaking protein and nutrient is pretty highly effective. There's a little bit of coconut oil in there too, just to kind of blunt the insulin response a little bit. But yeah, man, that's the go-to post-workout meal. Let's do the space question. Does the edge of the universe exist, or is it infinite? Wow. Where do you start with this? I've studied space for a long time for no real reason. I just love it. It's really cool. Me and my dad used to talk about it all the time. But probably since I was like 16 or so, 15 or 16, I really dug into it big time. I love biology and I love space science. And man, so the edge of the universe, all we have evidentially is what we have as the known universe. So we only know so much. So do we know that there's the edge of the universe? No. Do we know that the universe is constantly expanding? No. There are theories that both. There are theories to support both. But what I like to think is that there is an edge to the universe. The theory that I heard was described like, take our universe, not even just our known universe, but our entire universe. So theoretically, the entire universe is like a bubble. And there is a void in between this bubble and other bubbles. And these other bubbles are other universes. And in this theory, these universes kind of crash into each other. and create this void, this like universal scarring where they collide and this void kind of rips. And there's a whole lot of literally nothing in between universe to universe. The reason I like this theory so much is because it's the multiverse. That there is another me out there somewhere that's got a Colorado jersey and an Astros hat on. You know? That's got leather pants instead of sweats. I don't know. They're just they're right. There's like an infinite number of different possibilities for every single situation. There's a me that woke up and ate cereal and not chicken rice. So there's a really skinny me out there. Then there's a really obese me out there. I think it's really cool. I think that theory is really neat and really exciting. I have recently, and this is like somewhat of a tangent on space, because I've recently been digging into the James Webb telescope photos and discoveries. And wow, dude, some of the planets that have been discovered are absolutely insane. Planets that rain glass. Planets that emit light, which is not, a solar system kind of in the definition that we knew it as. I hope I'm saying this right. If Stanley could actually fact check, that would be great. But he just sits there and looks good. Tries to. A solar system is based around a sun, right? That emits light because of this chemical reaction, creating this immense amount of energy, and emits light. And then all of the planets in the solar system reflect light. They don't actually produce light. There is a planet discovered within a solar system that emits light. So it's kind of like breaking these modern definitions that we have. There's planets that are entirely made of diamond, that are essentially one giant floating diamond. I mean, dude, it's so cool. If you haven't looked at the James Webb telescope discoveries, go look. It's crazy. It's so cool. So yeah, I think that there's an edge of a universe that leads to an infinite number of other universes somewhere outside of that deep void. That's what I like to think. Maybe it's just infinitely expanding. Maybe it's not. Maybe this is the only universe. I don't know, but that's what I like to think because it sounds really cool. Let's see. What do we have time for? I think I got time for one or two more. Let's do, if you want $1 billion, what's the first 3 things you're doing? I'm dripping the fam out, bro. I'm buying everybody chains, bro. I'm buying everybody cars, bro. I'm buying everybody cribs, bro. But for real, my family, my friends, y'all all getting chains. Y'all getting whips. Y'all getting whatever you want. That's what happens first. I take care of mines. Number 1. Everybody get what they want. What's your dream crib? Let me grab that for you. What's your dream car? Let me snag that for you. You want to get dripped up out of your mind? I got you. That's the first thing that happens. Second thing that happens is probably drip myself out. Yeah, if I'm going to be honest. I'm going to get my dream crib. I'm going to get my dream car. I'm going to do the same for my lady. We're going to have a nice little life there. 3, what I do from there, let's mix 2 things in business. 1, I would like to purchase some larger companies that have sustainability, that could keep consistent amounts of money rolling in, creating a form of generational wealth that I could pass on. The other piece is philanthropy of some type, man. There's some really cool stuff that I really love out there. I'm a big St. Jude supporter. I love St. Jude's, and the other, another, it's not a charitable organization, but the Coral Reef Project. They essentially are planting these coral reefs that can sustain higher amounts of higher temperatures. And because of this, they're bringing sustainable life back to the oceans. I think that's really cool. So donations to places like those would be in the wheelhouse there for sure. That's what I'd be doing. That would be the 3 things I'd do if I had $1 billion. Best decade for sports cars and what country wins? Awesome question. I am a bit of a car guy. I'm not nearly as versed in car history as probably a lot of people are, or a lot of car guys are, real car guys are, right? But I am to an extent. I would say 90s Japan, man. I'm a JDM dude. I absolutely love the Skyline GTR series, Acura NSX. Come on, the 91 NSX is incredible. Even like the Honda S2000 stuff and Preludes were going on then. I love those. I love those are cheaper options, no doubt, but those are sick. Yeah, man, Japanese 90s, they're so cool and built so well. And maybe close second would be like Germany in the 80s. All the BMW stuff in the 80s, so cool. The M series in the 80s was badass. I'd love to get my hands on like a 85 M. Come on. One day that'll be in the collection, no doubt. Yeah, it could have been in the collection pretty soon if they didn't get so popular. Holy crap, man. Those early 80s M models just went crazy. They used to be like $7,000, now they're like 70 grand. Well, that about wraps it up. Appreciate you watching, gang. Stanley, I'll say goodbye. And a boy. Hey, make sure you check us out next week. Hopefully got a guest on. If not, I'll be going solo again. Either way, we're going to get a really good episode out for y'all every Thursday, 12 o'clock. Some of the uploading stuff has been a little bit funky, but I promise 12 o'clock, we're going to be premiering every Thursday, okay? Hop in there at the premiere, get in chat. I'll be in the chat too, so if y'all got any comments or anything talking about the episode, I'll be in there. This Thursday might be a little spotty because I'm going to be working this peak week, so I'll try to be in there, though. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Share it, like, comment, subscribe, man. Hit that little notification bell. You get a ding from your boy every time we drop a video. Every Thursday, SEANCAST, you know what to do.